own show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a 6-rig Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ, break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real put alive from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-rig champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-rig Kane show. The 6-rig Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It is a beautiful Monday. By the way, the weather is amazing down here. I don't know, Blue, about you, but I just got done playing a little pickleball outside, and the weather's pretty awesome. I gotta admit, it's starting to get to that time of year down here. I don't know, Danny, you getting some good weather up there or what? You too?
Yeah, definitely. It was mid-60s today. Good day for the marathon runners. Marathon Monday, 11 a.m. Red Sox game. It's spring. Spring is finally here, so I'm happy.
Spring is in the air, and the Red Sox are doing okay.
Treading water.
Yeah.
Treading water.
You know. How are those Mets doing though, Blue? I'm not talking about
I will take the same attitude towards the Canes. We don't need to talk about
baseball, yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Canes on deck tomorrow.
Canes are not on deck, right?
Yeah, they are striking out.
Oh, Jesus. Anyways, on a lighter note,
as if we set out his bat signal into the chat. It shot the pip down as well.
What's up, fellas? On a lighter note, on a more positive note, we had a spring game this weekend over at Cobb Stadium, right on the campus there at the University of Miami. It was the annual spring football game to kind of close out spring football, and it was nice. Just to kind of talk a little. I know, Blue, you weren't there, but I was hanging out there with Dono and some of the guys, and I'll be honest with you, man. I at first I was skeptical about it, right? Because like, oh my God, it's such a pain in the ass to get tickets for this thing, and they want to make it so private and yada yada yada. Who's gonna go? And it's gonna be it's gonna be crazy. I thought it was great. I really thought it was a really good, showing by the fans. Everybody was there when you're talking about legends too, right? All the former players, obviously. Andre Johnson, Devin Hester were there talking Hall of Fame, and getting to talk to guys like Jalen Phillips was there. All the old school. Betty Blades was there. It was really cool, man. Really cool. Amon Richards obviously was there. I mean, everybody, you name it. Tracy Howard. I saw Tracy Howard. I saw a bunch of people. So all the legends were there, which was really nice to see. Former Canes players. Coach Orgeron was walking around like he owned the place, which is cool to see. I love to see Coach Orgeron hanging out with all the players, all the coaches, all the fans. He was doing this thing. And the intimate setting of it all, having it on campus, having the players come, the visiting, the high school kids that are visiting or that want to kind of see what the atmosphere is like. I think it's a good opportunity for them to be on campus, and be able to kind of witness how beautiful of an area that Coral Gables area is. Really, that field eventually, I mean, fingers crossed is going to be the complex and all that stuff. But right now, they did a really good job of setting it up. They had the screen going. Thought it was cool. You know, it's a small, intimate event. But let's be honest, right? When you go to places like Drive Pink or the Traz or anywhere or Hard Rock, you're going to get maybe 8,000 to 10,000 people. It's never going to be full anyways. So why not, make it a little more intimate the way they did it? Have 4,000 or 5,000 fans or whatever that were there, watch the game and have some fun, food trucks and stuff like that. It was nice. It was nice. The only thing I will say was it was hotter than Hades. It was really damn hot, right? The sun was beaming down. So that's the only drawback. But aside from that, really good opportunity to go out there and watch some good football. And a really good turnout. So I was happy with that. Aside from that, you all got to see it on TV. I got to see it live. Vish, I want to kind of start off with you on this, right? How was your observation just as a whole of the spring game this weekend?
Well, I mean, the headline is the quarterback.
Sure.
In that we actually have one this time. It's been a bit. There's a noticeable difference because Tyler Van Dyke is a solid college quarterback. This is levels above that, and I think it's very noticeable how much smoother the offense. Even though it's spring game, it's vanilla and all that, just command of the offense. It's no doubt who's leading the offense, which is a big issue. It should be the quarterback ideally, but it feels like it's been Restrepo having to take on that leadership the last few years. So. You want that out of your quarterback position. And that's what everyone kind of showed up to see, right? A lot of backups at other positions, but we wanted to see our shiny new object. He did not disappoint. So I think that's the headline coming. I think a lot of confidence with him going in as a starting quarterback this year and into Gainesville on the first game of the season. I think everyone that kind of, because we've not to we've been guilty of this too. We've overhyped our players for roughly 20 years. So hopefully we're not doing that again, but it did. This was our first look at him in a Canes jersey. And so far he's meeting what I hoped for from an expectation standpoint. That's what I know DJ last week said he was looking at Cam Ward. That was what he was looking at, so I stole his point, but I left the tight ends untouched for him to talk about. So, get a little pay it forward.
DJ, I'll get to you in a second because obviously we want to talk tight ends because I think the tight ends showed out. At least you saw some really nice plays by Riley Williams. Even Jackson Carver and some of the other guys. So we'll talk about that. But your assessment, DJ, of just watching these guys play in that spring game, what was something that kind of stood out to you?
Well, aside from just the quarterback play, it was the fact that you saw, players, and I guess you can kind of tie this in with the tight ends a little bit. Players who we were even talking about last week. Can they make that jump like a Riley Williams and like the tight end position, for example? Can they make that jump and can they, put together a good showing over the course of the spring and kind of, bring that positive momentum over to fall camp. And I think there were a lot of really positive things. Obviously, the shiny object here is Cam Ward. I thought he was absolutely dynamic. He's everything that you would want in a quarterback in terms of just his command of the offense, his efficiency, his precision. The thing that Miami has been lacking is they've been able to get playmakers the past couple seasons, right? It's just been trying to find that consistent quarterback play to kind of complement the rest of the offense. And now they have that in Ward. I'm very excited about this offensive unit moving forward because, the best thing you can do is surround your quarterback with playmakers. They have the playmakers. Now they have the quarterback. I'm very encouraged. Obviously, spring game isn't the be-all, end-all, but I was really impressed with how efficient the offense was and how, we saw so many big plays from so many different players.
Well, I saved you for last because you got to see what some people call the real scrimmage, right? The real spring scrimmage a couple weeks ago. And then, the fans and some of the donors and whatnot, we got to see the guys out there this weekend, kind of run some vanilla plays and show, do some fancy stuff every once in a while. There was a couple of trick plays that they threw in there just to kind of mess around. But I like it, right? I like the energy. I like the vibes of the team as a whole. So that was great. But what can you tell me?
But I did watch the game.
Yeah. Did you see a difference? And that's where I was kind of going. Did you see a difference between the scrimmage per se, the one you saw a couple weeks ago, this one, or is it kind of this, kind of more or less the same stuff that you saw the last time out?
I think they had more last week.
Mm-hmm.
They ran more plays. They showed more defensively. Although I was impressed this week with Kirk. Could Kirk be that dude?
Yeah, Shamar Kirk did look really
Showed
good.
some really good speed, and I was in. Isn't it ironic? This is University of Miami football for you. Last week at this time, don't let the door hit you in the ass, Curry, and then all of a sudden they were ranking them, and they go, "Oh, he was right there with Ward." I'm thinking, "Whoa, wow, don't get me crazy." But the one thing that, and then Paffenbarger didn't look so good, and this time, last week he looked decent. I just think that the very fact that after Ward, at least they have somebody just in case.
Right.
We already know. Emery
looked good.
They took him into Tallahassee and could have easily, won the game. So I wouldn't, throw stones. I think the Popo Aguirre is somebody that really is starting to emerge. But you can see the deficiencies in the secondary, and they're going to have to. I think that's one of the portal musts. Get a running back.
Yep.
So I don't know. I've heard some up close. I don't know. I think everybody, and I think it said it last week, that Fletcher's injury was a lot worse than anybody really gave on.
Yep.
That's kind of typical University of Miami. They don't let you know anything.
Yep.
I think they're going to have a really, really good team. I really do. Offensively, we saw, here, if you have a quarterback that's going to be – see, the thing is Ward's vision is so good, and he could bail you out with his legs a little bit too, where Van Dyke got pigeonholed, and he was just one play didn't work, then he couldn't extend it anyway else.
Right.
Didn't have the foot speed. Didn't play. When you look back, how many games that did Van Dyke really start at college? Ward's had so many great starts. But I thought the offensive line looked good. I thought the Carpenter kid looked a lot better this week than he did last week. Last week he looked like a swinging gate door at times. Guys were because they were stunning and they were blitzing a little bit. I didn't see much blitzing this week. I think they had a safety one time, and then I think they ran Wesley came in the other time. And remember, they're still down a few guys, that are, and offensive line wise, I still believe that they're going to have to pick up somebody else. I do think Mamano is going to come back, but it's going to take him time, and you don't want him to re-injure. So when he's young, I think the big kid looked really good. I thought last week and this week. Number 70, is that his number?
Oh, yeah, Markel Bell.
Yeah, Bell. He looked a lot better. You think so, Vish? Did you watch him? He looked he was active, and he's so big, sometimes it's really tough to get out of your stance. But I thought he did real well this week. Did you watch him at all?
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's another need. Secondary is the most obvious one.
Oh, yeah.
We got short. We are replacing, it was only here for a year, but Javion Cohen, Matt Lee, those are
gigantic.
Those are big holes. So getting some help there.
Let's see if they can do that again, because
he stands out.
Huh?
He stands out. Markel Bell
he's like
stands
6'8".
Yeah, 6'8", 6'9".
He literally stands out.
Yeah, he really does.
Right over those team.
Before
the only guy that could go out of the quarterback room would be Curry, because no one else.
I would say that.
Paffenbarger just got here. You're not going to get rid of what's his name. Ain't going to leave.
Emery now. Judd
and Judd
Judd is young.
Anderson.
He's got to develop.
So he would be the only one. I just think that he's, I see all these things. Yes, he's gone. He's not gone. Because I have people looking in the portal for him because they want him, not to mention any colleges, but they're working on trying to get him now.
Listen,
so.
I think he's got a shot to play somewhere and be
I
good.
agree.
He definitely
and he's a great kid and he's a great teammate. And
absolutely,
you know what? He's willing to, for what he did to stay around during the bowl season was enough for me. That's character, kid. He could have bailed out and said, F Miami.
Yeah,
they haven't. So, they just decided to insert me in one game. I'll see ya. But, and Mario likes him. So, and I think that Mario might be helping, try to place him too.
Yeah.
That's the one thing people don't understand, that a lot of these coaches, even though they may not be the fit for that one school, there's a lot of other guys that they know say, hey, by the way, I got a kid and he could compete for your starting job.
Right.
And he's a smart kid. He's a great, he listens. He's a team player. He keeps the locker room good, and there's a lot of dudes that'll go on recommendations. And look at all the guys that Nick Saban and his staff placed, dozens and dozens of people don't even know, so I think that's essential, especially in the portal era. But no, I just, I leave this spring with a good feeling, other than like what Vish was alluding to in the secondary. But I think that shores up pretty quick. There's a couple of kids in the portal that they're really after. They could land them. That'll help corner-wise. And then safety, you got a bunch of guys that could play safety.
Yeah.
Zaquan still looks like a guy who's not a freshman.
He looks good. Still looks good. The safeties I think looked all right. It's
it's the corner
the
play.
DBs. Yeah, it's the corner plays. You saw at one point one of the safeties drop down and play the nickel, right? So that kind of tells you the deficiencies that there are there, and I'm pretty sure that Miami's going shopping, right? A lot of people have said this recently. Miami's going shopping in the portal, and they're going shopping at at the big name. Big name stores, right? As some of the shows are talking about. Yesterday, I think Flo said that they're going shopping at Gucci and Louis Vuitton, and they're not going to Walmart. They're going to go get the big boys. So
if you're going to eat at Joe's Stone Crab, you got to kind of you
better be ready to spend the money. But they are.
But the other thing too, I think the thing that's going to help is the front seven.
Yeah.
Good front seven.
Absolutely.
Put pressure on them.
Always makes the corners better.
Huh? Oh, yeah, by far. Because they're not going to have as, if you keep, but you know what? Here's the truth about anybody. If you keep anybody out on the island long enough, they're going to get beat. I don't care where they're at.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but it'll ease the pain a little bit because interior defensive line, Miami's really strong, and their ends. What's his name? The young kid.
Lightfoot.
Huh?
Lightfoot.
Yeah, what a beast! What a beast! Yeah, he gets a little bit more seasoning and he gets a little bit more
weight
experience. Weight. Did Moss leave? Did Moss has left last week? Right?
Cyrus Moss. Yeah, he left. He entered the portal. Nigel Lee Kelly, obviously.
Yeah, I saw Kelly
also. Look, for me, I know some people are asking some questions here in the chat, but before we get to those questions, we'll definitely get to that question. And it's whatever position he's going to play is probably not going to be here. But I will tell you this, some of the things that I did see and that I did like, because I know I'm getting out of here a little early. Cam Ward is who he is. Okay, he is your quarterback. He is QB1. He showed his leadership. He showed his moxie, his playmaking ability, his IQ, his football IQ is off the charts. You just see him when a play breaks down, he knows how to create something and make something happen, right? You saw it on those little flip passes that he did when he was getting in trouble, when he was getting, almost sacked. He'd kind of dump it off to Elijah Lofton or to whoever was was around. You saw him not make a dumb throw on some of those screenplays where he kind of let the play develop a little bit on a screenplay to JoJo that went for like 20 yards. It was really nice little setup there. The defensive end read it, but so did Ward. And Ward read that the defensive end read it and then kind of adjusted to it. And that was really nice to see. So those type of things. I love to see that from Ward. I will tell you that I think that the Kings are definitely going to have to go get a big-time running back in the portal. You've got like Wheatley Humphrey looked nice. He looked good. He looks like he belongs, but he's still young, right? So to depend on him when Fletcher's not there, kind of tough. Trevante Citizen looked like he was, still trying to figure it out a little bit, or maybe a little bit hesitant, right? He looks like he
hasn't played in the game in 2 years, so that's
the tough part, though. You don't want to go into Gainesville with Trevante Citizen as your starting running back, and Elijah Lofton is a freshman, so he's going to get.
But he didn't have, if you notice, as opposed to last week, they didn't feature Lofton a lot. See, that was by design, I think, because last week he was everywhere.
Yeah,
he was everywhere, and I think when they open up against Florida, he's going to.
I think he'll be everywhere. I don't.
He's going to be everywhere.
He's not going to get 20 carries, but he may get 5 carries. He may get 5 passes thrown to him. He's going to be everywhere,
or throw the ball or whatever, do different things. And he's that, like I said, and I watched that, on this Saturday's replay thing, and that was the one thing I was looking at. I saw a lot of things that they didn't do the week before, and I'm thinking, oh, okay. And that's what you said, Jazz. You said they're going to be more vanilla, and I agree that last Saturday was the dress rehearsal.
For sure.
Because I think they found out a lot of things about a lot of people by playing that. Remember, they went almost 2.5 hours. They went the hour and 30 minutes inside and then came out and went almost an hour outside. But we know there's no secret that his favorite receiver is going to be Restrepo.
I'll tell you what. There's no doubt in my mind that those two have some serious freaking chemistry.
Already. Yeah, already.
My gosh, man. Everything was on the money. That out route that he threw for the touchdown, that's an NFL throw. That's one of the hardest throws to make on that corner route that he threw to the and Restrepo got in the end zone.
Yeah.
Hell of a throw. I love the concepts of the drag routes, so Isaiah Horton looked the part as well. He looks like he's poised to have a big year.
That's exactly what I was just going to say.
I'm really excited about him.
From what I understand, they're spending a lot of time together.
And it shows.
Horton and Ward are spending a lot of time together. It
looks like JoJo, the little bit that they did feature him. He looked good. He looked solid. Ray Joseph looked pretty good in a couple of routes. The biggest surprise was definitely, you mentioned it, Blue, Shamar Kirk, right? He looked like he's starting to.
He's got some speed too.
So this could be.
You see how he separated and
on that deep route. Look, Jakari Brown threw a great throw there. Jakari Brown threw a great throw. That. So he might be a guy that could potentially be in the running. Jacoby George was in a red non-contact, so he didn't really play much. So was Michael Redding. Michael
probably be one of the guys that are gone.
Yeah, he might be
because he graduated already, and I think he's and they'll probably, if he wants, he'll finish his masters like they did with what's his name, like the quarterback that ended up at FAU, N'Kosi Perry.
Oh, Perry, right. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of Canes fans. I'm talking to you. Don't be surprised when you see a lot of names that you didn't think were going to be in the portal that are going to be in the portal. I think that there's a lot. There's a good amount of players that played this weekend that you saw that said, "Hey, they look pretty good," and that's them literally putting on tape for someone else. And coaches know that, right? And so, like you mentioned, Blue, Coach Cristobal knows that. Hey, these guys might not be here. Let's get them out there. Let's get them some tape. Let's get them, showing off a little bit so they can go to a good school somewhere, right? Look, Jackson Carver might be a casualty. He had a nice little touchdown grab. Guys like that. Some offensive linemen, Samson Okunlola. I don't know if he's still got to develop a little bit.
He's a baby still.
Yeah, he still may be a transfer portal guy. So there's a lot of stuff out there. Frank Avia looks nice, man. He's a big kid. He's already filled out. He looks like a center already. If that kid develops a little bit, then you've got some nice competition there. But I think Miami still is going to go after another big time offensive lineman. going to go after a big time cornerback or two. Going to go after a big time wide receiver and a running back. I think
another offensive lineman too. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
You could get thin real quick there.
Absolutely.
With an injury.
Absolutely. And I think they're going to do that, and you're going to see them make some big headway in the transfer portal. So I'm excited to see what they do. The spring game is a spring game. I'm not going to get too high or too low on it. I like what I saw out of the tight ends, DJ. Riley Williams looked good. Elijah Royal looks healthy, and that's the most important thing. But Riley Williams is a stud. He's a specimen out there. I like what I saw out of him. And then you're going to get Elijah Lofton out there too. So you got some dynamic tight ends on this team. Plus, Miami just signed two of the top tight ends in the country. Two of the top tight ends in the country just committed. I think one of them is the number one pass catching tight end that we stole right out of the Midwest and Ohio State and Michigan and all those people. So, you know, that was huge.
What do you think of those guys?
You're being well. I think Jazz got to go in a minute, but you're being accused of being crazy by our friend CCH here. So
nothing new
for saying Redding might be in the portal, which you might be in the portal, buddy.
He's an Iron Arrow guy.
Yeah, just recently adopted. But
Blue have a degree and then some from Miami. So what the hell?
Right, but Blue was specifically discussing how he might finish the year out so he gets his master's. Then hit the portal. But no one's going to get cut in that sense. Like, these guys want to play, and they know they're not going to play, so they will leave. It's kind of like being told you're not wanted.
Mutual kind of. Not mutual.
Crazy like in Major League where you're going to have the pink slip hanging from your locker.
Crazy for saying Sampson's going to pull. Look, let me put it this way. If we had last year it said Nigel Leake was going in the portal, you would have been like, crazy, no way. He's the future of the
I look on Sampson, no Vish. You know, I mean, he hasn't been here that long, so
I mean, the way I look at it, nobody's crazy for going in the portal these days. You can be a starter and still end up going in the portal for whatever reason. So
it happens everywhere all the time.
So what makes sense of this?
I think I'm going to protest over Vish only being fifth string quarterback. To be honest. I mean,
who's a fifth-string quarterback?
The guy wants you to play, Vish.
I don't know. You know? I got no arm, and I'm Indian, so I never really had one to begin with. But I'm old now. This ain't cricket, buddy.
Oh boy, you're too much. Man. You're too much. I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see. CCH. We'll see who the starting left tackle is, and I mean, you got a lot of talent there. You got some guys coming in next year. You've got Markel Bell, who's going to say something.
I like Markel Bell.
Yeah, I mean,
and they've been working with him a lot, so
he looks good.
You can't teach what he's got, you know. So I mean, that size is stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. But this type of, that nothing's guaranteed, and
no.
And the second a highly touted freshman does not play their first year, immediately half of FBS is in their ear saying,
just so you know,
hey, you can start over here right now. You can start over here right now, and like,
it's not always necessarily the player doesn't like the program, so they leave. It's other programs really
their
want
bank account likes them more.
Exactly.
Coached, and
by the way, he's not looking that.
Yeah,
good
to Jazz's point, he hasn't earned the playing time.
No, you're right.
So, I mean,
but it's tough to give up on a guy who's got that much potential. Because it's going to come out.
I don't think they're going to give up on him, but someone else will be like, "You can start right now," and we're not doing that.
Yeah.
He's putting
Massachusetts. He's good. He's got talent, but he's got to develop.
He's not representing Massachusetts well right now. I'm only kidding on that, but
he'll be all right. He'll be all right either way. I think he'll be all right either way. I think he's talented enough.
This is not about what NFL scouts or coaches are doing. This is college.
Yeah, we're not talking about
when you get.
I honestly never understood the argument of, well, what is he going to do in the NFL? I don't care. I want him to win at Miami and win a national title here. I mean, Ken Dorsey did jack in the NFL, okay? But he won a national title here. He's the best quarterback we've ever seen in Miami not we've ever seen, but like, you know what I mean? Like in the past 20 years before him. Like, like what are we talking about? Like
we took a lot of shit for granted back then.
Yeah, we did. I mean, listen, if you would have asked me, I would have been dying to see Brock Perlin back here and playing for UM. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of need to take a step back and realize that these kids got to develop sometimes, and sometimes they develop and and they start and they play quicker, or sometimes they wait, or sometimes they go. It all depends, and we never know, man. We never know what's going to happen from year to year. Anyways, portal news is big, so hope you guys have fun with that. Have fun with the spring game recap, and
All right, Jazz.
see you guys
Adios.
later. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
See you later, Jazz.
Later.
All right, now that he's gone, we can really get into it. No, I'm just...
Now we're good. Now we'll
yeah.
jump on the Jazz
Yeah.
bandwagon there.
Yeah, you know, if he shows up early, which he did, he and I were in the backstage like 5 minutes before, you know, he's leaving early. No, it's more seriously. So there was a question about Jakari Brown potentially switching positions. I'd like to get your take on that, but I personally don't see that at all.
No, he's not going to. It'd be nice, but the kid wants to play quarterback, and there's a lot of places where he can. And and the whole thing is, you wish it would have worked out better for him here, but to upgrade your program and to get it to that level where you're going to be able to compete with, you know, at a national level, you gotta kind of infuse it with the Cam Wards, and I think Emory Williams is still going to be one of the best. I mean, come on. I mean, he was a true freshman last year, and he went into Tallahassee and gave him a fighter's chance. And I think he's a big kid. He's got a really good arm. He's accurate. And then next year, when you add Nickel to the mix, I think you're really, and Judd Anderson is. I mean, I watched them last week, and they've got size. The Paffenberger is what he is, and I said that at the beginning, and I got all these people angry at me, and I watched him. I watched him come out of Old Dominion, and he was okay. And he's a little guy. He's not very big. And
he is I think reactionary depth. Given that we almost ran, like you mentioned earlier, Blue. If Jakari just said, you know what, I'm not playing this bowl game. I'm hitting the portal. We didn't have a quarterback.
None.
So I think when you experience that, you're like, you know what, we need to get some like solid guys that can practice in an emergency if we have to play.
Right.
But I don't think anyone's thinking he's the starting quarterback next year.
No.
Like he's not gonna. Worst case, even if somehow Jakari's transferred, Emory Williams somehow doesn't work, somehow Judd Anderson doesn't work out, you'll start Nickel as a freshman. Like, I mean, there's very little chance Poffenberger ever stops here, and he probably starts here, and he probably knows that. This is, but he gets to play in a big time program for 2 years.
Sure,
it's a good
maybe
academic
enhance
school.
and learn more and compete, and you never know. You never know what happens.
Yeah, so he's got all that. By the way, I should definitely feel attacked by this, right?
Hey, Melissa, you're just too big to say hello to anybody these days with your hoodie stuff. And
I mean, I'm your co-host. Like, what is this? Just
and I'm used to being left out, but I mean,
unbelievable.
Hey,
by the way, I
DJ.
took the Metro Plus to your house the other day. Today actually. Gives Dorsey vibes. I think there's leadership there, but it takes more than that. And so, I mean, but again, we have a healthy competition there next year with Nickel.
Yeah, at a few positions.
But just at that quarterback position with Nickel, with Emory. So those are especially Nickel's, one of the top recruits in the country.
And you never know who they'll bring in next year.
Right. The
Cam
portal
Ward.
is still there. The portal's still there. So it doesn't look like. So I mean, that's what Jakari's looking at, right? He's, like you said, there's programs that he'll walk in and start right now, versus like kind of everyone knows Cam Ward's the starter this year, and then
and he's got good experience, and you're laughing at what?
I mean, I'm getting completely
attacked.
attacked.
All right, that's fair. All right,
I feel like I would ban her from the chat, but I don't know if that bans her from doing shows, which wouldn't be good for. So I'll just leave it alone.
When you look at the quarterback depth from 3 years ago, even until just now, and we're having conversations about the type of depth and Emory Williams being, a really kind of key player for the future once Ward leaves the program, and just to have these conversations and not having to worry about whether Tyler Van Dyke or Jake Garcia will start and how far we've come from that. I mean, that's a plus in and of itself. I mean, it's crazy. Like Blue told a story of his friend showing him the roster from 3 years ago and the lack of depth. And now 3 years later, there's so much depth at so many positions. And the quarterback position is just a testament to that.
Yeah. Pretty soon you're going to be able to show a roster from 3 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, it's but you know what? Here's the thing too. Everybody's going through this. Everybody.
Yeah.
Alabama has 12 scholarships that they have to get rid of. I mean, albeit they're probably just dudes that just came, for the hell of it. But I mean, everybody's got to go through it, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's a lot to do during the summer. A lot of these kids will stick around. That Elijah Lofton will stick around, and all these guys are going to be working, and that's what you got to do. I mean, they could go home, when all this is over. Just stay around and, be visible, get in the community. See, that's important too. And, I know they're going to be doing a lot of little kids things during the summer and, be there because those kids are going to remember you. And, they're important. And certainly Miami's got now they're all their coaches go out to high schools starting in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from tomorrow. The spring starts, and you'll see a lot of these coaches disperse all over the country. And then they have the best thing about Florida is the spring football that they have. They actually have games at the end. And what they've done is in certain areas, they've put like 5 teams, 10 games, where a lot of these, coaches could sit at one place for the whole day and not have to go anywhere else and see a bunch of kids. And they have a few of those set up for them, and that's the best thing. And then come June 1st, then the high school kids start going to colleges, and Miami will have all their camps, all their, their special teams camps and their line camps, and a slew of 7-on-7 events, and get more kids on campus. So, it's a cycle that goes year round. Other than the 3 weeks in July,
Right.
At the NCAA kind of closes everyone down. This stuff is open. And and even during July, you're going to have a lot of activity too. So, I'm excited about it, but it's a never ending thing. And, it used to be right after spring, after the high school spring, you didn't have as many college, events. So, but now you do. And that's it.
Yeah. So I was going to debut it on buckets, seemed more appropriate, but fine. So, Dominic, I honestly don't know what you're talking about. TVD won the job when Manny Diaz was still the coach and kind of held it. Jake Garcia played a little bit against Middle Tennessee State under Mario.
And the opportunities that he did have,
like
he did
38-6 when he got in or something.
And he played okay there, but I'm pretty sure that's the only time he really played a lot.
Virginia.
Oh boy! You know what? I was at that game, and boy, I tried to block it out. Yeah,
Virginia wasn't one to help his stock. If
well, they use that in specialist camps now to show the kickers how much you can get involved in.
Oh my god! I totally whitewashed that out of my head because it was like a traumatic experience, and we won that game. I know he didn't play that much, and as Melissa said, he also he's in the portal again, right? Because he didn't play.
I believe so. Yes,
I think he's in the portal. So look, you can't. Not everything is on the coach.
They are who they are, Melissa. That's the deal.
Well, but also, this is we talk about kids jumping in the portal too early. If he stuck around, there was ample opportunity for him to play last year.
Yeah.
Like we tried everyone essentially because Jakari wasn't playing, and we. TVD got benched, and there was opportunities for him to play, and he wasn't here, and instead he was sitting on the bench of Missouri. So, there is something to be said for sticking around, having that familiarity. Because I think had Jake Garcia been on the roster, he probably would have tried to redshirt Emory, but he had to play because we didn't have anyone else. So, that kind of shows maybe don't cut bait and run. But I mean, for someone like Jakari, I don't know where he is on the pecking order right now. But it's not likely he'll play significantly this year, and then he's in a pretty heated competition if he's still around next year. So if people are offering him opportunities to play right away, he should be doing that.
DJ, have you seen the 2 commitments tight end at all? Have you watched any of their film?
I saw. I was watching a little bit of it, just and I was impressed with their athleticism.
They're big kids.
They are big kids, and it reminded me of the tight end we talked about last week as well. And it's interesting that Miami is kind of going size in terms of tight end, in terms of height, and because a lot of times now the tight end position almost serves as the extension of the wide receiver position, and yet Miami was able to land two very tall kids, very athletic, and it made me wonder. We were talking last season, not to kind of rehash last season, but will tight ends be a factor in this offense? Well, with the commitments that Miami just got, I'm wondering how much we'll see of them this year, like how much the tight end will be involved in the offense. And granted, I think it's going to be a little bit easier with Cam Ward under center, kind of having the tight ends as a safety valve and then the outside receivers. I think having Ward kind of conducting the offense will be able to kind of just make everything a little bit better, and that includes the tight end position.
Well, it's not going to be a 2 tight end system.
No.
I mean, it's just not set up for that. But what they're going to be able to do is use, whether it's Arroyo or Williams or Carver or whoever's around, but also use Elijah Lofton maybe in the slot as an H-back type guy. And then you have another pseudo tight end if you want to go out of the backfield and have to get paired with a linebacker, which is pretty crazy to think, or a safety.
Right.
In that scrimmage 2 weeks ago, Lofton was getting into the secondary and outrunning the defensive backs. So that's what I'm saying. If a guy could do that, he adds another dimension. And there's like Kirk right now, he stretches the field like we needed a wide receiver that's going to stretch the field. And there's a guy that has, I watch, speed, pulls away. And and I think that Miami's got potential, but at those positions, everything's got to come together. And I'm kind of glad they're opening up, against Florida rather than a Bethune, because then you can see right away what you got, against not that Florida's a juggernaut, but Florida at least is
do not under any circumstances do not lose that game, Mario.
Oh yeah. You won't have a show that week.
Oh my God, we won't have a show. He might as well clear his office out. Jeez, to not lose that game. So this Florida team is. I mean, look, they're not Bethune. They're real competition with some talented players. But but it's one of those. It's a good solid game to start the season up where you should win anyway, but it's good testing your stuff out. It's you cannot lose that game. I don't even want the fallout will be it'll be Hurricane Andrew levels.
No more shows.
No more Hurricane Hotline for Mario, that's for sure.
It's interesting.
Actually, you talked about Lofton a little bit, Blue, already, but so I know we tried him some at running back. You talked about lack of running back depth. We do have. I mean, we joke about tight slots. DJ's passion.
Yeah,
but McCormick came back. Riley Williams is still there. Elijah Arroyo still is here, right? I mean, there's a lot of depth there. Even if we, hopefully, even if we get the time a lot more involved, it's hard to see enough targets for all of those guys.
Yeah.
So, and now you throw Lofton in the mix, who's probably the most talented of the group. And it's like, okay, now, so two-part question. You can start with TJ since it's tight ends. Who is transferring? Are all these kids going to be here? Obviously, Lofton's not, but who might not be here? And the second
Carver
thing is
might not be here.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an option.
Yeah.
TJ, I don't know if you have thoughts on that tight end.
Yeah, I would say Carver probably because, again, you're looking for, can you make the most of your opportunities? Kind of like a Jake Garcia type of situation. Can you make the most of opportunities when you're put in play? And, he just kind of struggled a little bit. I know he didn't see the field a ton, but I could see, the other part when people get mad about, oh, you're saying this player's transferring, he's only been here a year. The other half of it is you have to think that these players realize that, they only have so many opportunities in college football and so many years that they can play, and they want to maximize, their abilities and, their playing time. So a lot of them see this as an opportunity, maybe the transfer portal, to kind of, be able to, start a new career somewhere else. And I think when you look at who's coming in at the tight end position, I mean, I was reading about Schott the other day, Brock Schott, and he was being compared to Brock Bowers. So I mean, he runs a 4.5 40. Schott does, and Miami was able to get him from Georgia, Ohio State were also in the mix for him. But anyway, my point is that there's more talent coming in that may surpass Jackson or Riley Williams and guys like that. So I could see Jackson leaving just because it's about building depth at the position, and sometimes when you have too much, one guy's got to go.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised that, and this is not a reflection on McCormick and in any way, that we went ahead and I think it's a 7th year. That we went ahead and pushed forward with that and helped him get through that and get the. It just seems like we're stacked at that position. Blue, what are your thoughts on Lofton then? Is he? Do you think he's likely to maybe play a little bit more running back than tight end, given the running back issues we have in terms of depth?
I think that's why he did. If you watch this week as opposed to last week, I think this week he had like 3-4 carries, right? 3, 4, 5 carries. Not as many. Last week carried 9 times, and they got him. Yeah, he's definitely a guy that they already know. It's sort of like, if you're in spring training and you already know what the pitcher could do, you don't let him pitch as much. I think that's why last week after that scrimmage. 2 weeks ago, they probably got together and they go, well, it's sort of like that movie Ocean's 11, when they say, we got our wingman, that type of, they got their versatile guys. So yeah, he's one of those different level guys, Vish. And I think that, he could carry the load too. He's 6'2", 228 pounds. He's fast. He's he doesn't get, if you look back to his high school career, he didn't get hurt. And he was playing almost every down. He's playing linebacker on defense and D end, and on offense, he's playing wide receiver and running back and quarterback and tight end. So, I think he's one of those guys, sort of like Ohio State right now saying about Jeremiah. They're going, okay. He's beating defensive backs that were first team all Big Ten last year, like they were like 8-year-old kids. And sometimes you get that situation where, you get a guy on campus. I think Zaquan Patterson, not at that level, but pretty close.
Yeah.
Just experience, and he's a physical kid. Yeah, I just think that you got to, and it's no cut to anybody. It's not that anytime you bring in another guy, it's like last week, look at 2 years ago, we're down to a freaking walk-on running back, so who could say anything, about how much talent you could bring in, whether it be the defensive line, the offensive line, another running back. Hell, if it's going to enhance the package, you got to use it. And that's why I've always been adamant about the fact that when people go, well, he can't play. He's just got here. He's a freshman. Huh? Well, he's got a uniform. You're paying for him to go there. You might as well let him do what he could do. And that's why, that's how and I had this reoccurring dream that after that Florida game, the nation's going to know a lot more about Elijah Lofton, just because we could. And Miami's got athletes, and if he's kind of destroying them, he's going to destroy a lot of people. So he is one of those guys I want to see a lot more. I think Isaiah Horton's on that path where he could do it. Kirk showed you what he could do. We already have Restrepo in that situation. Now the tight ends have to come through. They've got the potential to average close to 40 points a game. Yeah. They really do when you think about it, with all the firepower. Now, unfortunately, unless they get good pass rush and good play with the front seven, they could give up 30 points. So, you get a good quarterback, the Drake May type of guys is going to drill that secondary, especially the corners. They got promising safety. Yeah, that's their first. To me, if tomorrow they went out and got 2 corners that are really good, Tennessee and Oklahoma kids that really were, I would say, that's it. That's what you need to do. And then you could start addressing, get an extra linebacker, get an extra defensive lineman, an interior lineman. You never have enough. And, I told that story last week about Leonard Taylor. When Miami got Leonard Taylor, they were over the moon. But he was the only one they got. Usually the Ohio States and the Alabamas and Georgia get 2 and 3 of those guys every year. And that's how you become that next level team. And is it any wonder where Georgia could get 17 kids drafted one year and then come back and get 16 the next year? It's just, that's where Miami needs to get. And I think that they're on, they're the flavor of the day with a lot of these guys. Those tight ends are beating Ohio State and they're beating Michigan for kids, or beating Alabama and Georgia for kids. So that's the path, but you got to win. And if, like Vish said, I'm not even thinking about that opening game.
If they lose that, the
I won't
balloon
come back
pops,
on this show.
The balloon pops at that point. That is a must win of a game. Blue, in terms of playing freshmen, I see like wild mood swings. It's either you can't play them at all, they're too new, or you play a bad quarter. Bench all the seniors, put all the freshmen in. It's like there's nothing.
No, I'm not saying
that.
No,
I know you're not saying that, but there's nothing in between with the fan base. It's always like wild swings, and it's the individual player. Lofton's ready to play, so he's going to play. A lot of even future great players are not ready as freshmen. He is, though, so I expect him to play a lot. Shout out to Terrence Sullivan. This is a really good question, maybe as we start to wrap up here. So in terms of the portal and outbound, which position, shout out to Ruff for asking this, which position do we think is going to lose the most to the portal?
Well, obviously, from a talent standpoint, I think it probably wouldn't be the offensive line, but the depth standpoint they'll lose, because they're going to get a lot of guys that don't even really plug it, like Dennis. He had, good kid and everything, but he hasn't played. He's hurt. Yeah. I think they're going to look at the guys that were injured the most. I mean, because you could be 8 stars all you want, but if you ain't playing, you're not helping the team. I mean, wide receiver wise, I mean, obviously besides,
I feel like that's when where we'll lose some numbers, but we're not exactly sure what the pecking order is. But there's just too many slot receivers, and you got Restrepo, who's the leading receiver in the ACC, coming back. So
what about Washington and what about Joseph and
my point is Restrepo is the man in the slot already.
No doubt.
Everyone else is competing for like secondary slot receiver, man. So there's, like you said, there's a lot.
They're not going to want to do that.
There's Washington. There's a lot of guys that are kind of fitting into that mold, and I feel like some of them.
This is his last year, DJ. So he's not like he's a sophomore.
Right,
I'm just talking about this year. Even like if he's taking, if he's the guy,
right,
and then there's not that many backup snaps behind him, and then you have like 4 or 5 guys that are ideally slot receivers.
Yeah. Well,
something will happen there beyond Reading, in my opinion.
I agree.
Even beyond this year, I think there's not going to be as many targets to go around at the slot receiver position.
Yeah, and it's not dissimilar to the conversation I'm about Jakari Brown. It's not a reflection on the talent, or it's actually the fact that there's a lot of teams that'll go at our backups like Washington, like Ray, and say, hey. And I'm not saying those two are going to portal. I actually don't think either of those kids will go into the portal, but they'll go to them like, you can start right now. You can walk on this team and be a starter.
It's going to be about, not keeping these players from other teams, but other teams are going to notice and reach out. So I think it's going to be more a question of, would they stay in the program versus, would they leave? Because, with NIL and everything, it's basically open season in terms of trying to acquire players now.
Yep. All right. So kind of to end things here. Yeah, no, that's true. We might even be looking to add more to the offensive line, which will push more people out.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yep.
Get a guy who's going to be a senior someplace, or a graduate guy who could really help them. We never figured on Cohen and Lee last year, and then boom, they were heart and soul of that line.
Yep, they were.
And it's like Rambo that year. You never figured you were going to get a guy of that quality, and boom. So it happens.
Yep.
There's going to be a pretty lucky team to get Nigel Lee Kelly, because when he plays up to his potential, he's really, really good. And just, obviously that's a position that Miami really, really went heavily in, with Wayne and all these guys that they brought in at edge. And, DNs over the last couple of years. So it made that position a little bit more expendable for guys like him.
Exactly.
All right, so just to wrap up here, look, Jake Garcia didn't even last like a season at Missouri and transferred to East Carolina. Look, he's just not good. I'm sorry. Like we want these kids to do well. We talk about them in high school. We hope they come in here and do well. There was no fair chance that was going to result in him being good.
Got my Caitlin Clark Indiana Fever jersey on the way.
You pull the trigger on that fast. Got to line her pockets.
Yeah.
Okay, so to wrap things up here, the spring, obviously the spring game is the end of spring practice, so we kind of go into another lull period here. So I'll start with you, Lou.
I don't know if we're going to go in the
in terms of them practicing.
Yeah.
We're going to get busy.
Get a lot of
the portal is coming. But
we could do an hour portal show every week.
Yeah, we could.
We can and we will. Unless you got something else you want to talk about for the next 3 months. But Lou, I'll start with you on this. So how do you overall? So spring is the spring, practice game. All that's over. How would you view this in terms of success or failure for Miami in terms of what they wanted to accomplish?
Yeah, I think they came out of it pretty good. I'm looking at the big picture, and over the last 2.5 years or 2 years, they've done exactly what they wanted to do and probably exceeded in a lot of ways, because you never really figured, looking at this team when Manny, was gone, that they would anywhere get 5-star guys, that were being coveted by everybody else. And they did. They went to the Midwest and got Scott, who arguably was one of the best defensive linemen in the nation. The 2 tight ends that we just came away with, coming away with a Wade. I mean, a Lofton, who was coveted by everybody, and I think they did extremely well. And then you look at some of the talent, and I think they're right on target. I think they're going to come out and but they're going to add some more pieces to it. And come August, it's going to be great. Just like I told you back in December, I couldn't wait for spring. And it really, really was an eventful spring, I thought. I think it lived up to everything that I thought it would be, and probably more since you bring in a quarterback who's a difference maker and not just somebody who's going to blend in.
Yeah, you talk about adding a catalyst to the offense and a playmaker. I mean, we talked about it earlier. Cam Ward is that guy. But beyond that, you're now starting to see the depth that has been accumulated ever since Mario took over really start to kind of show itself. And, when Mario was hired, we wanted to find some stability on the roster in terms of positional depth, overall talent, and, fixing certain areas and positions of the team that were maybe deficient. Now, there still are some, areas that could be improved, like we talked about the secondary and things like that. But now we've kind of loaded the cupboard to where we can start to compete, maybe not with the Ohio States and, those programs yet, but we're at a stable point to where we can finally, launch to the next step. And that's why, in my opinion, and I'm not going to go on a tangent about this, but this upcoming season is huge, because then that will, kind of give a good litmus test. 2 years with this, with Mario Cristobal, a bunch of his recruits, a bunch of depth. Now what can this team do? I mean, I feel really optimistic about, what they can do, but at the same time, we've had optimism the last 2 years, and sometimes it hasn't always been fulfilled. So, I think I think Miami's in a good place right now. Now it's just about execution.
Yeah, I mean, everyone always feels good coming out of spring. If you win, then you're really.
It's like opening day baseball. Yeah, everybody feels good.
Yeah.
Well, till the Marlins first pitch.
Yeah, well.
But then it goes off the rails. But everyone. If you don't feel good about your team coming out of spring, it's really going to be a bad season. But I guess the one position where that's probably more uncertainty than I expected is running back. As Bruce said, he kind of discovered and shared with us that Fletcher's injury is worse than we thought. I think we all thought he's the starting running back. If we had to play again, he might not be ready, to start the season. No, not right now. He's definitely not. But even to start the season, or might be just coming back, and then that becomes a huge question mark. But any kind of concerns, or you got Cam Ward there, and you could see why Mario kept going after him even after he said he was going to enter the draft until it was officially done. He kept pushing on it because those are the ones where you take the big swing, and when you miss, you're like, how do we have no depth at position eds? Because you held out for the big swing, but he connected on this one and hit it out of the park. And those are the game changers you need. And we are a team that was, timeout and kneeling usage aside, we were in a lot of these games where, not just the quarterback position, a couple of more playmakers across the board would have switched a lot of these games to wins. Even some of our top players, we have two safeties that are going to get drafted really high that basically on the last play of the game let Georgia Tech get behind them and throw a bomb for a touchdown. We should have kneeled the ball and the game should have been over. But, those are the types of things where you're like, you've got your playmakers and you've got your game winners. And I think we had playmakers that weren't necessarily game winners. Louisville game running into each other in the secondary. And then obviously the quarterback position was a big issue last year as well. So, minor improvements there can turn a lot of those games that were losses into wins. If you look at the margins and how close those were, and we had a major improvement at quarterback. So, and that's why Mario held out for that. He didn't settle for the kid up in Tallahassee, right? We had the option of doing it, and you can actually see kind of the hurt feelings from the father there that we didn't really pursue him. It's like there's no point if you can't get the top guy on your board because you're trying to win at a high level. And like I said, sometimes that can blow up in your face because you can end up with nothing. If you keep holding out for you might end up without a prom date, but this time we got the prom queen, and it's going to make a huge difference throughout the season. You're going into the first game. It's a rivalry game against a team you should beat on the road. Having a veteran quarterback that's played in one big games on the road in tough environments, huge difference. Because look, we have guys that have played, right? Like Lou said, Emery started at FSU last year. Jakari started some games on the road his freshman year. Not a lot of winning though, and not a lot of necessarily good quarterback play in those situations. So bringing that experience that's the story of the spring to me. It's like, hey, we've got a proven leader here at quarterback, and so it's his. He's going to dictate the season. As DJ said, this is a huge season for Mario and this program. You can only sow hope and upward trajectory so long until it has to show up on the field, and it should this year. So, I think we're all excited. And now, as Blue said, the portal is wide open now, so we're going to see a lot of churn here. So stick with us. Stick with us. As always, we're here Monday, 8:30 for Six Rings Canes. Also, don't miss the F1 show, and Canes on deck tomorrow at 9 and 9:30. 6-game ACC losing streak for the Canes in baseball. They did win a game last week in the midweek, but it's been a rough patch. Yeah, I was going chronologically, Miss Impatient, but yes, Buckets Wednesday night. I will be out at the baseball game, so probably a little bit after that, maybe 9:30, 10 Eastern. But we will be doing Buckets on Wednesday as well. And some lot of news to get to, especially half the women's team seems to have entered the portal. So more on that. But yeah, so definitely stick with us. We're on the 5 Arena Sports YouTube channel, as well as on any podcasting app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. This show and all of the shows on our network are on the podcast app. So anyway, so stay tuned. Tomorrow we got F1 and Canes on deck, and then Wednesday we have Buckets, and of course next week 8:30 Six Rings Canes will be back. I feel like there's going to be a whole different roster next week when we get here.
Yeah. We have a lot to talk about next week.
Yeah, so come in here at 8:30 next week, and we'll break it all down, and Blue will tell you, stories about players that you've never heard of before that are all of a sudden on our team. Blue will know all the insights.
Blue will break it all down, and me and Vish will be just going, it sounds good.
And maybe Jazz will be here too. So anyway, join us next week. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll be back next week at 8:30.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.